So this is another lecture which I could call haplogroup F. Haplogroup of the Y chromosome, which is specific to males, non-recombinant part of the Y chromosome. And in my YouTube channels, especially on the channel which is named with Latin letters Alexander Kazankov, I've already gave lecture on this theme, but there in the first part of it I used chromosomes instead of haplogroups, and then in the second part I said haplogroups, but it's a mistake. There is only one Y chromosome and lots of its haplogroups, which are designated by letters from A to, say, F. And I am especially interested in the haplogroup F. This is my scheme. I hope that it can be observed in the screen. And so I shortly repeat the history of the dispersal of these haplogroups. The haplogroups A and B of the Y chromosome stayed in Africa, and they are most widely represented in the so-called Khoisan people, especially among the group Zhu Huanzi. But around 80 years ago, according to the scheme of Steve Oppenheimer, who wrote the book The Original Eve, some of these people crossed the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and this was the combined haplogroup CDEF. So it's the ancestral group for the haplogroup CDEF, and all these CDEF, they traveled across Eurasia. They left Africa around 80 years ago. I agree with this dating because the dates of the origin of the haplogroups, they are more or less coincide or collate with these dates that were given by Stephen Oppenheimer. So this group, they were beachcombers, so they collected the food resources of the littoral, of the sea coast, where the tide reaches the land, and they moved along the coast again, along the coast of the Arabian Peninsula, till they reached the place of the narrowest part of the Persian Gulf. And so half of them crossed the Persian Gulf. And these were the ancestors of the haplogroups E and D. And those who stayed here, they were C and F. And so it happened, around 77 years ago. I won't tell you from where I took these datings. Actually, I wouldn't go to look for the exact name of the article paper, but its author is Thomas Kivisild, a very famous Estonian geneticist, who proved that the people who left Africa and gave rise to the rest of the humanity, they moved not this way in the Suez Peninsula, where they crossed one from Africa to Middle East, Near East, but they died out around 70 years ago. But those who crossed Bab el-Mandeb probably gave rise to the rest of the humanity. And so in my previous lectures I explained how the haplogroup D is now attested among the Andamanese Aboriginals, in the Tibetans, and in Ainu people who are of Japan. and in some part of the Japanese, because some of these beachcombers, they reached the mouth of the Indus River, and by its value they went up to the Tibet, because the Indus River begins in Tibet, and there some of them even crossed to Japan. And this also corroborates by the common origin of the Japanese and Tibetans is discussed in the article of Mike Hammer, the father of the Y chromosome haplogroups research, and Tatiana Karafet. So, and D and E here split, and those who went to the east, I explained where, and those who were the bearers of the haplogroup E, they returned to Africa. That's why E is also attested in Africa. But now, the theme of my present lecture will be the haplogroup F, which means that that's the haplogroup of those who didn't cross didn't cross the Persian Gulf here. They went this way to the mouth of the great rivers of Tigris and Euphrates, and these were the future bearers of the haplogroup F. And some, when F and C split, the C went the same way as D, but later, around 53 years ago, and they went, and even they reached Australia and Mongolia. I wouldn't explain how they reached, because in other lectures I explained that, but this is a strange fact that C is very widely distributed, the haplogroup C, and it united the people of Mongolia and the kin people of the Central Asia and Australian Aboriginals, strangely enough. But I will discuss now the haplogroup F. Tatiana Karafet holds opinion that this haplogroup F formed around 53 years ago in northwestern India. But I disagree with her. Of course, her data, we pushed out all our neighbors on this bench, which I'm very glad of. The people, obviously, they don't understand the English. Okay, so we are alone. And this is the group haplogroup. I think that it originated not in India, but in Levant, or at least here, or rather in Levant or in the Mesopotamia, southern Mesopotamia. And so now I close this. Maybe I'll use this diagram further, and then I explain what happened with the haplogroup F. Its dispersal was star-like. So most of the haplogroups, which are younger than those discussed before, they originate from F. This is the haplogroup K, haplogroup MS, haplogroup P, haplogroup Q, K, well, I would say K, which is widely attested among the Amerindians, and the haplogroup R, which is most common in us. For instance, we too probably belong to the carry in our genes haplogroup R. And this is a star-like spread. What does it resemble? The spread of languages. So my idea is that here, among the bearers of the F haplogroup, the first human language was arrived. Why? Because the approximate dating of the F is 53, but how we call it, the range of possible range of strictness. I forgot the exact term here. May constitute some percentage, say 5% older or 5% younger. If it's 5% younger, then it will be around 45 kiloyears ago. And the date of glottochronology shows us that the first human language originated exactly 45 kiloyears ago and exactly in this region, in the Levant. I even wrote a song about the Jordan River Valley, where this language originated, invented by a very clever woman. Now I'll show the diagram of the human languages. I once attended a conference in Moscow and was sitting next to Václav Blažek, a genius linguist, comparative linguist from Czechia. So I decided to use the opportunity. I turned back and said that probably there are not many macro languages in the world, and if we take the basic vocabulary from them and combine it, that'll be not very thick book. And I said that these groups are around 20, to which Blažek said that I think, he said, I quote, that they are 7. And these are these groups. The first split of the proto-language, which includes Euro-Austric group, Indo-Pacific, to which Papuans belong, Amerindian. Joseph Grimberg considers it the most languages of the South and North America belong to Amerindian, and 3 groups in Africa: Nilo-Saharan, Niger-Congo, and Khoisan. And Khoisan probably is close to this group. Now, it is obvious to whom belong all these groups except for the first. So I'll show which is the Eurasian. I speak Russian, so Russian belongs to Indo-European language, family of languages. And together with the 5 other linguistic families, these families originate from Nostratic language, which existed around 12 kiloyears ago. That is 12,000 years ago. And these are Kartvelian, Dravidian, Uralic, and Altaic. I wouldn't go into detail here. And there is Afrasian language, Afrasian superlinguistic family, or it's called Semito-Hamitic, which consists of Cushitic, Amotic, Semitic, Berber, and Chadic. And there is a language family which was established by Sergei Anatolievich Starostin, which unites the languages of the North Caucasus and the languages of the Sino-Tibetan. Sino-Tibetan it's not here, but besides North Caucasian and Yeniseian, there is also Sino-Tibetan here, and Nadene, Basque, and Burushatsky. Basque and Burushatsky is not just 2 languages which were thought to be isolates, but there are no isolates. All the languages, they are non-established by origin languages. And so all these groups, around 15 kilometers ago, originated from Eurasian language, which I showed before, which is distantly related to Austric languages, which consist of Mon-Khmer, Austric, Austro-Asiatic, Austro-Thai, and Miao Yao. And these 2 macro families, Eurasian and Austric, probably diverged 20 kiloyears ago. So this is about the languages. And now I return to this original genetic scheme, and here it's proto-language, and here is Indo-Pacific, and Amerindian is around here. All the languages, other languages is here in the European. All other languages are originated later. By the way, I forgot to mention the group IG. The group I now is represented among the Germanic people in Europe. It's the most ancient group in Europe, but it's not the first. The first Homo sapiens people in Europe died out because of the eruption of the mountain of the volcano Campi Flegrei about 39 kiloyears ago, and together with Neanderthals they died out. But later to the Europe came Aurignac people, the bearers of the haplogroup I. Okay, and now how this language arose? There are a number of publications which draw attention to the self-domestication of humans. For instance, the best lectures on this theme were given in the YouTube by the author whose name is Tecumseh Finch. Finch, it's a bird. Tecumseh Finch. And what he said, that if we observe domesticated animals, we find a suite of features which characterizes all of them. It's patchy coloration, small teeth, dropping ear, small snout, small brain, and and friendliness. And one Russian geneticist selected silver foxes for just one trait, friendliness, and he brought the friendly foxes, which displayed all these features which I just have enumerated. And these are byproducts by the selection for only one feature, friendliness. And this selection by various authors is named as feminization of the brain, globalization, global form of the brain, and self-domestication. But in 2002, I published my dissertation paper in Russian, which discussed aggression among the hunter-gatherers. And there, my attention was drawn by the factor of testosterone. And now I'll find the citations from my book. Excuse me. I found these references from my book. I don't have this book. It's in the internet, but it's in Russian, unfortunately. But the references are in English. But the basic reference is in German. It's Ludwig or Louis Bolk. Das Problem der Menschenwendung. Vortrag auf der Versammlung der Anatomischen Gesellschaft in Freiburg, 1926. And here he proposes the theory, the hypothesis of the pedomorphization. Actually, I don't know how to say pedomorphization of you. Excuse me, but my first idea about the pronouncing of this word is pedomorphization, and I enumerate them. I haven't read this, but I read the list of pedomorphic features in Homo sapiens from the book of Stephen Jay Gould, Ontogeny, and from the book of the Stephen Jay Gould. And these features are facial or orthognosy. Facial orthognosy, which is lack of prognatism, which is expressed in Europeans and in Mongoloids, but not in Negroids. Reduced pigmentation of skin. In Bushmen, it's yellow skin instead of black skin of Africans, because, reduction of body and reduction of body hair. The fourth feature, form of the outer ear. This is in Bushmen, there is no lobe of ear. Epicantic fold, which unites Bushmen and Mongoloids. You know which is epicantic fold. It's a narrow eye slit like in Mongolians. The number 6, relative high brain weight, and some other. So there are 12 of them actually, but I'll skip the rest, not to be more dynamic. And so 9 of the 12 of these features unite Mongoloids and Bushmen, which was written in my dissertation. So Bushmen look like Mongoloid apart from curly hair, because they are both a result of the convergent pedomorphization in the semi-arid conditions. And why semi-arid conditions are important here? Because this is the region where Bushmen live. These Juhuansi. It's called in English Nyai Nyai, but in Bushman language is Nwak-ai. Nwak-ai. Okay. And there are bands which are established with about 25 bands here. These are groups of Mongongonat. Okay. I wrote it down from the book of Lorna Marshall. 1976, I think. Okay, and in this region of Namibia, the rain is erratic, and when monsoon rains come, some of the regions may be flooded, and some receive only drops of rain. If there were hostile relations between these bands, they would have died out by parts. One year, this group dies out because it's in the enemy surroundings, and the other time the rain falls in other region, and where it doesn't fall, the people die out. So when there is a drought in a part of this region, the people either split and go by families to the other bands, or the whole band goes as guests to the region not affected by the drought. And it's a long-term tradition to give hospitality to the people, to the kin people, Bushman people who are some people who are in such a dire position. So these people cannot afford aggression, cannot afford aggressivity, and by ethnographic number, the rate of homicide in this group for the 500 people is 7 times less than in northeastern Australia. And in the previous lectures, I forgot the name of the guy who supplied us with the data on Australians, but his family is Blaney, and the book I forgot, Jeffrey Blaney, and the book is written is titled "Triumph of the Nomads," and so the Aboriginal Australians kill, not in the semi-desert conditions, kill each other in the interband hostilities 7 times more than Bushmen. Why? One of the reasons is that the Bushmen have a lower level of testosterone, the same as Mongoloids, and I discovered it in my dissertation research. So the humanity splits in 3 groups. The most medium concentration of testosterone in the serum of blood, in the blood serum, the most I said, is attested in Negroids and Australoids. The medium range is attested in Europeans, in Europeoids, and the least concentration of testosterone in blood is found in Mongoloids and Bushmen, and this explains their convergent pedomorphism. And recently there appeared a number of papers, and one of the authors has a very strange name. It's written Book, Cedric Book. Is it seen here? Cedric Book. Maybe it should be pronounced like the famous painter, Dutch painter Bosch. But somewhere I discovered that this strange family is pronounced Book, and he and his authors, and my time is running out, found together with the other researchers from Spain a group of genes which leads, the action of these genes leads to the reduction of the production of testosterone. And the leading group, regulatory gene, is called BAZ1B. BAZ1B, which causes the underdevelopment of the so-called neural crest. And from this tissue, early embryonic tissue, the cells migrate to the regions which later become the markers of the self-domestication. They migrate to the regions of the growth of the ears, of the growth of the snout, of the growth of the teeth, and to the adrenal glands and so-called sympathetic nervous system. And what is the most important? That adrenals, I pronounce it slowly, the adrenal glands produce testosterone. And by action of this gene, the testosterone is underproduced. And this is the difference between the humans and Neanderthals. So their general embryo or the early development is slowed down and desynchronized. And this affects not only the friendliness, the lack of testosterone, and that is lack of impulsive aggression, but also the linguistic abilities. Because for the linguistic abilities, you have your neuron tissues connect myelinized under the action of the outer environment. That is the mother who talks to a baby, and the Neanderthal baby, its tissues grow too fast to these neural connectivities develop under the influence of the outer world. They are already formed by the time the Neanderthal baby has to be taught to speak, and this is this supposed gene controls not only the additional non-aggressiveness, let's call it this way, but also the ability to speak. It creates language-ready brain by expression of Cedric Book. And
is it connected with haplogroup F?
Of course. You understood that all this happened within the haplogroup F. And why it happened exactly? Because there were deserts there. In the region of the northwestern part of the Arabian Peninsula, there were deserts, and these ecological factors of the unpredicted rain acted exactly as in the desert of Kalahari for the very long time, and in the deserts of the Central Asia, where the Mongoloids developed within the conditions of the last glacial maximum from 30 to 16 years ago. That's all.